Okay, so this is the basic dashboard that you'll see in the tool if no more specific dashboard has been set for your user. Now, in your environment, some users have been set to have two different user accounts. One is an admin level user that is restricted to only specific devices that are within their what we call user partition. And then there's another more general user that has read-only permissions to everything in the tool. So in your particular environment, you may have two different logins to the tool, and which one you use depends on the tasks that you're trying to accomplish. So if you've got administrative tasks to do, you'll be logged in as your admin user. You'll see this administration menu appear. If you're logged in as a regular user, you will not see the administration menu. And you can tell the actual user you're logged into here in the upper right corner on the little user icon. It'll tell you the username you're currently logged in as. In general, we don't recommend using shared administrative users because it makes it difficult to track from an audit perspective, who's modified what. So the generic administration user should be only used as a backup when somebody needs, a password reset or something like that. So here at the top, we've got the status of the devices, and this is breaking down hosts, services. These are those service checks we talked about, thresholds and anomalies. So they're all broken out separately. And obviously clicking on any of these will take you to a screen that shows you exactly what is causing that alarm. From here, I can drill to the actual statistic that I'm looking at. So this will give me, the actual stat, and I can pull up any amount of history that's been collected for that stat to see if this is a net new problem. Some of the things you can do, you can click and drag in here. You can turn on or off a specific statistic to get a more detailed graph. You can export this data. So if you need to pull this down to include in a report or to grab the raw CSV data, you can easily do that. If the interface has a tag on it, you'll actually see a little marker up here indicating that it's got a tag. And if I click on the tag name, it will graph all of the interfaces with that same tag together for me. Initially on this device that I clicked on, but then also I've got the option to go look at it on all devices if I want to. So tagging gives you a way to tie those interfaces together from a reporting perspective. Another couple of important features here is I've got this button for real-time histogram. And what this does is for bandwidth specifically, if I click that, it's going to open up a screen where it's going to start pulling data from this device in real time at a 5-second interval. This data originates from the OmniCenter appliance and then reports back to the browser via an AJAX update. So what this allows me to do is if I need to look at an interface at a very granular level to see what's going on at a particular point in time, this gives me a way to kind of run real-time diagnostics against it. This information isn't logged, but I can have multiple windows open doing this if I need to on different interfaces to watch for something going on during a problem or during a troubleshooting exercise. I can also go in and use this tool, which is the arbitrary instance report. The arbitrary instance report allows me to take this graph that I'm currently looking at and then compare it to anything else anywhere in the tool. So if I go in here and then pick another device, for example, I can go in here and grab a completely different device, grab a different statistic on that device, and compare those together. And the statistics don't even have to be obviously related. The idea, though, is that then you can get a graph where they're all shown together to look for correlations in the data to see if I can find, things that are going on. And again, these are designed to be dynamic, so I can turn specific statistics off or on to kind of illustrate my point and to get the view that I want. If this becomes something that I want to do again or regularly, I can save that as a favorite by clicking the little heart icon, and it'll log that into my favorite. So now I can go back to it at any time with just a single click whenever I'm logged in as that user. Or I've also got the option to add this into a report. So you can download it as a PDF, you can email it out right now, or you can add it in as a custom report. And when you add it to a custom report, you can either create a new report, which will basically start a new report template based on the screen you're currently looking at, or I can add it as an additional section to any of those other reports that I'm monitoring. So the idea behind the custom reports is almost any of the different things that you're looking at in the web interface can be added to those reports. And once they're part of that report, I can go and pull that report up whenever I want to, or even have it scheduled to send out automatically daily, weekly, or monthly. And you do that by going to reports and then go into the custom page. On the custom page here, if you have administrative privileges, you can go into the report admin, which allows you to then schedule these reports. So I can set who I want that particular report to go to and set different email addresses, different frequencies, different formats, and it'll send those reports out as needed, via email. So I can just get those automatically in my mailbox whenever I want them. Also on this page, if I click on something that actually has a status problem, like a service check, for example, you'll actually see here, I can see the different services. I've got this button here that will acknowledge those services or de-acknowledge them if they've already been acknowledged. The other major way to do acknowledgements is to go into the active incidents page. From the active incidents page, if I go into the details of any given incident, I can go in here and acknowledge everything in that incident in a single operation. You'll also sometimes see, if you're configured for it, a manual alert button here. And what this is for is when I create an action group in OmniCenter, I can optionally set that action group to have the ability to be executed manually. So for example, if the action group calls for a server reboot, rather than having OmniCenter force that server reboot automatically, I can have an operator with the correct permissions come in here and use a manual alert to execute that action against the device. So based on their privilege level, they might be able to launch a reboot server action or a clear interface action or whatever it is that I've pre-configured as actions I want them to be able to do. Any manual action will automatically acknowledge the problem as well. So it kind of integrates those into a single operation. The other thing to keep in mind is that if those actions are scripts like SSH or PowerShell commands that run against the device, they will always run against the device identified as the primary alarm. So if I've got other devices that are related to this alarm, they will not have that script run against them. They only run against the primary device. If the primary device is hard down, obviously running scripts against it probably isn't going to help, but it may be something where I'm calling an API with my virtualization provider or with my cloud provider to force a system reset. So it may still be something that I want to be able to execute manually. Once I acknowledge the problem, it'll still show up in active incidents, but as I mentioned, it will clear from any place that shows only open incidents like the NOC view dashboard, where it's showing only open incidents here instead of active incidents. To return from the NOC view dashboard, just click the OmniCenter logo and it'll take you back to the main screen here.